What up, you occasionally occupied octopuses? It's Melder here, bringing you another Arknights beginner guide. So I've been getting a lot of requests and being asked questions like, what stages do you farm? What stages do you recommend? Where is the best stage to farm this specific resource? And those are the questions I'm going to be answering for you all today. So I'm going to be talking about what stages I like to farm and also giving you different options for you in your account so you can farm efficiently, quickly, and successfully. Before we get started, I just wanted to mention a few different things. Number one, there are a few different stages that are better than some of my recommendations, but those stages are in chapters 7 and 8. So expecting a beginner player that barely has E2s to do some of those stages is just impossible. I want to make sure that these people can farm at their own pace and farm efficiently without getting super frustrated. Number two, a lot of the information that I got for this video was taken from both penguinstats.io and also the viewers in my Twitch chat. So I'll post the link to all these things in the description down below. And if you guys want to participate in conversation or have questions or anything like that, don't be afraid to join Twitch chat, and I would love to have you there. The first material we're going to be talking about today is rocks. Now, rocks, there is one stage that is probably the most efficient stage in the game, but I wanted to give you guys another option as well if you're capable of doing it. So first of all, we're going to talk about the famous 1-7. 1-7 is an extremely efficient stage for many reasons. Number one, it is a guaranteed drop of rocks for 6 sanity. So every 6 sanity, you're going to be getting at least 1 rock, and there is a chance that you can get an additional rock as well. So if you get a lot of double drops, this stage will be amazing for you. In addition to that, since it's very cheap and has a guaranteed drop, this stage is also great during special events. Now, during certain special events like Anniversary, we will get small 10 sanity pots for clearing stages. Now, if you get the 10 sanity pot from running 1-7, you essentially get your return on investment and then 4 additional sanity for the price of 6, which is very nice and very efficient overall. The second option for rock farming and my personal rock farming stage is going to be 6-5. 6-5 has a tier 3 rock drop compared to 1-7, which is a tier 2. So if you're going to build that in the workshop, you would need 5 tier 2 rocks to make 1 tier 3. 6-5 has a 60% drop rate for rocks, so it is above 50%, it is above half, so it is not that difficult to farm. Some negatives to the stage: first of all, it isn't guaranteed, so 1-7 does end up being a bit more consistent than this one, but if you don't mind the gamble, this stage is actually pretty good for you. Second of all, this stage is extremely difficult to auto, and it is late in the story as well. A lot of you beginner players might not have access to this stage and might not even be able to auto farm it for quite some time. The reason why this stage is so difficult to auto is because of these specific enemies right here. We have the Enraged Possessed Leader and the Enraged Possessed Bone Thrower. These enemies hit like a truck. This thing has A+ attack, S on HP, S attack, and S HP. These things are ridiculous. So if you can't deal with them, then I definitely just recommend 1-7 instead. So the first option here is going to be 3-4. A lot of the device stages are just difficult to farm in general. They tend to fall onto boss stages, so this one is no different. This boss is a lot easier to fight though than some of the later bosses in the game, so 3-4 will be a more consistent auto for sure. In terms of statistics, this device farm stage is just about as sanity efficient as 7-15. 7-15 being 53 sanity per item, rounding up to 54, and this stage being 54, rounding up to about 55. So they're not too different if you just want tier 3 devices. The second stage is going to be 410. Now, 410 is definitely much more difficult of a stage than 3-4 is, so the auto is going to be harder to set up, but we get the added benefit of these tier 4 devices and a bunch of different tier 3 materials. We have a double device drop chance, we have tier 3 rocks, coagulating gel, and locks of coal as well for you. So the efficiency on this stage is definitely solid, even if the sanity cost is 21. The last thing I wanted to add about devices is that you can buy them in the credit store, and whenever they're in the credit store, especially if they're on sale, I do tend to buy them out because devices in general are just very obnoxious to farm overall, and there's not really too good of a stage to farm them, so this is a really nice alternative to stockpiling them. The next material we're going to talk about is polyester. Now, for beginner players out there, I definitely recommend S32. It is an easy stage to farm. You can get double polyester drops on it. You can also get tier 2 rocks and tier 2 devices as well. If you're feeling a bit spicier, you can take on Skull Shatterer in 3-8. Now, 3-8 being a boss stage is going to be a little bit more difficult to farm, I would say, but the rewards are very nice. If you check here in the extra drops, there are a bunch of different types of tier 3 materials that are available to you as well. The drop rate for 3-8 polyester packs is about 39%. So every 45 or so sanity, you should be getting at least one of these polyester packs. The final option for polyester farming is going to be 5-3. This is the one I would personally choose to farm, but it does have a lot of drawbacks. Some good things about 5-3 is number one, it has a 48% chance to drop, almost a 50% chance. So the consistency there is definitely better than something like 3-8. Some negatives to this stage, though, is the map is very difficult to auto farm for many reasons. Number one, the enemies are relatively difficult to deal with. The stage takes quite a bit of time to farm because there are a lot of different enemies here. So as a beginner player, it can definitely be daunting and definitely a challenge to consistently auto farm this one. Next up is my least favorite item to farm in the entire game. It is RMA 12. I farm on 4-9, and I know a lot of other people in my chat farm on 4-9 as well. The stage is not very difficult to auto farm, and it does have the additional drop of that tier 4 RMA 24, which is very nice as well. The last option for you guys to get RMA is to buy it in the search shop. I usually buy out RMA first, and then I decide to farm it. I have a lot of RMA because of one of the past events, but this is a pretty great alternative if you have a lot of green certs available to you. The next stage I want to talk about is 4-4. Now, if you're going to be farming locks of coal, I think this is the best option for you guys. It is a boss stage, and it does take a relatively long time to run it, but it has a 37% chance to drop locks of coal, and a lot of the side drops are super juicy. We have the special drop, which is the White Horse Coal, the tier 4 Loxic, and we have a bunch of other tier 3 materials that can drop as well, so the efficiency here is super high. If you want to farm iron or ore iron, as it's properly called, you should go to S41 in Chapter 4. S41, I think, is the best stage to farm this material, and I don't really recommend any other stages besides this one. The reason one is it is extremely easy to farm. You only have 2 boxes right here and a buff tile to work with. It has really solid side drops with tier 3 sugar and manganese. You can get double drops of iron, and you can also get the tier 4 iron block as well. We're going to continue to stay in Chapter 4 here, and just like the 4-4 and S41 stages, this stage is also great because it features the possibility of a tier 4 drop and a bunch of different tier 3 materials that you can get on the side farming a Keaton. If you guys like consistency over the chance of a tier 4 drop, then 3-1 might be the stage for you guys. So this stage is definitely more consistent. It has a 5% higher drop rate than 4-5, and it is 17 less sanity required per item than 4-5 as well. Some issues with the stage. It doesn't have the best side drops at all. It's really just tier 2 sugar and iron. So the stage, even though it is more consistent on the tier 3 drops, the additional drops are much worse. Next, we're going to head back to Chapter 4 and talk about sugar packs. Now, like every single Chapter 4 stage that I recommend, it has really great side drops and the potential for a tier 4 drop as well. 4-2 has a 39% chance to drop sugar, so it's about 46 sanity per item, which is quite nice. Next up is going to be the earlier stage counterpart. It's going to be 2-5 for sugar. 2-5 has a 36% chance to drop sugar packs, and it's a roughly 32 sanity per item, so it's a really great value if you just want those tier 3 materials. Now, 2-5 does not have any significant extra drops for you, but in terms of just raw sugar packs, it is quite efficient. Next, if you want to farm Grindstone, I recommend for beginner players 3-3. 3-3 has a 46 sanity per item and a 32% chance to drop Grindstone. If you're looking for just straight Grindstone and nothing else, this is probably your best option. If you want some of those juicy side drops to go along with the Grindstone, then I recommend 4-8. It has the tier 4 alternative or tier 4 upgrade and a bunch of different tier 3 materials to drop as well. Next up is Incandescent Alloy. Now this material I only really recommend one stage to farm on, and that is S36. This is the stage I farm very frequently to get this material because a lot of the characters I've been building lately need it. So S36 has a 39.8% chance to drop alloys and a 37 sanity per item, so it is quite efficient for sure. There are some other stages that drop it, but they are in much later chapters, so I'm not really going to talk about them. So next up is going to be the newest material into the game, which was introduced with Chapter 8. I'm sure a lot of you guys who got Mudrock and have upgraded her realize how obnoxious these things are to farm. The best stage for this material is definitely R811, but that's a Chapter 8 stage, so I'm not going to be talking about that anymore. For beginner players, I definitely recommend S59 or S37. S59 is good because it has a 33% chance to drop, but the stage is pretty difficult to complete. So for new players, I think S37 might be the way to go. S37 is quite a bit less efficient. It has an 8% chance less and 20 or 17 sanity more expensive to farm, but this is really your only option if you haven't cleared Chapter 5 yet. If you want to farm manganese, I think there are two really good options for you. The first being stage 3-2. Like a lot of the Chapter 3 stages, this one has no significant extra drops, but the drop rate itself for the tier 3 material is quite solid. So 3-2, it has a 36% chance to drop. You could round it up to 37. And it has a 40 sanity per item. I would say the best overall stage for manganese is 716, and 3-2 compares to it quite well in terms of sanity per item, with a difference of like 0.3. The other option is definitely going to be 4-7. 4-7 is a really great stage, but it is a bit difficult to farm because of the Originium slugs or the explosive spiders, whatever you want to call them. It does offer all of the great things that other Chapter 4 stages can give you, like the Tier 4 upgrade and a bunch of different Tier 3 materials as well. The last material we're going to talk about today is Coagulating Gel. This item, I'm just going to say it now, this item is garbage to farm. All of the stages for this material are extremely inefficient. Like JT82 is probably the best stage to farm this, material, and it has a 63 sanity per item and only a 33% chance in a chapter 8 stage. So a lot of beginner players are not going to do chapter 8. So we're just going to talk about S410 at the moment. S410, it's a 0.5 sanity difference in sanity per item, and it has a 28% chance to drop. So this is really the best option you have. If you have a lot of green certs, I recommend that you buy them or buy these coagulating gels in the tier 2 green cert shop. But at the same time, this material isn't super required or needed for a lot of operators, at least operators that I've built. So I wouldn't really farm this stage that much or buy out the tier 2 shop preemptively. I would just buy it as you need it. Okay, guys, that's going to be it for the video today. Hopefully this was of at least some help to you, especially beginner players out there. I know that stage farming can be very confusing and overwhelming at times because there's so many different stages and they don't give us statistics for them in game, which is kind of annoying. But make sure you check out penguinstats.io. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the comments and Discord or in Twitch chat. I would love to help any of you guys out. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and peace out.